I'm Monica DeSantis.
Welcome to the Prepare to Repair Show with your host, RJ Graham Plumbing's very own Steve Suarez. For the next hour, Steve and his expert guest will help take the fear out of home improvement by answering homeowner questions. Gain valuable information from Steve's 20-plus years of experience to help you save valuable time, money, and frustration on your next home repair project. Become an empowered homeowner and prepare to repair.
Welcome to the Prepare to Repair Show. I am your host, Steve Suarez, owner of RJ Graham Plumbing. Happy Monday to everybody. I want to welcome everyone to the show. And as always, if you're looking to contact the show, you could reach us by text at area code 708-964-5500. Joining us in studio today is Mr. Zach Crider, owner of Gordon's Appliance Service. How you doing, Zach?
Good, Steve. Thanks for having me on.
You're the man. So tell us a little bit about Gordon's Appliance Service.
So we've been in business since 1977 in the Joliet area, started by Floyd Gordon. He was a firefighter. It was a side hustle for him, but he really loved doing it, and he worked for one of the original Maytag stores in the area. I came in almost 10 years ago now. And he trained me kind of from day one to be a service tech and then eventually take over. And so for the last 5 years, I've been running it, almost 6 years now. And just trying to grow it, trying to learn, made some mistakes along the way and learned and grown. And it's been a fun process for me, you know.
There's always a list of mistakes you make. I mean, that's how you learn. You learn more from your failures than you do from your success.
100%. 100%.
You learn, okay, you didn't fail. You just learned how not to do it that way.
99 different ways.
Exactly, and that's the way you do it. And you know, you get homeowners that will say, or just customers in general, you should know everything. Well, there's so many different products, so many different changes and things. You're not going to know everything.
Yeah, I mean, you go back 20 years ago and you could carry 4 evaporator fan motors or something like that. And yeah, it was a lot easier to be able to do that stuff. But now, unless everyone's buying the same brand, there's just so much to know. You almost have to be an expert in computer repair to service appliances anymore. Yeah,
don't get me started on compressors, because we had a conversation a few years ago about my refrigerator, that I'm 4-year-old refrigerator that died, and that was it. Basically, when you told me that I had just play taps on it and that was it, it was done.
Well, and now that's kind of shifting as it's harder to get appliances. You'd be surprised how many people are actually paying for that repair now. We can talk about that later on.
Yeah, this was I want to say 2 years ago, before everything happened. So we're going to be talking about a lot of interesting things, because I've been watching, just looking through over the weekend on social media. I have just the amount of posts for appliance issues. It's just amazing. And I think people are following what you said. It's like, okay, is it cheaper to replace this, or not replace it, repair it in light of everything that's going on?
For sure. Yeah. And I mean, the one certainty in appliance repair at this point is that the days of not seeing appliance repair tech for 10 or 20 years, it's long gone. You are guaranteed to see us within the first 5 years of owning an appliance, sometimes much sooner.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, it's just the nature of it, Yeah,
you're going to get the same. You're going to get the same thing that I get from customers. It's like, you know what? Nice to see you. You're a great guy, but I don't want to see you again. Yeah. I want to see you at the store. I want to wave to you. But then they don't even want to see me then, because what happens is when I see them, then it's like, oh, you jinxed me, because they call me like 2 weeks later and say, oh, yeah, you know what? This happened. I shouldn't have said anything to you.
Yeah. I'll get friends that call me, hey, I got, it's good to chat with you. And then next thing you know, their oven's broken, or their, dryer's on the fritz, whatever.
Oh, yeah, we this lot to talk about. I'm going to get to a couple little things here. As always, tune into the Rock and Roll Diner on 95.9 The River, where this week's featured restaurant is Hog Wild Express, located in Mokina. Listen for your chance to win a $25 gift card, sponsored by us, RJ Graham Plumbing. We also have, as always, a few goodies to give away on the show as well. So text us with your questions or comments with for your chance to win at 708-964-5500. Also, over the weekend, or actually Friday, we celebrated my wife's 50th birthday. And I probably shouldn't have said that. I should have just said her birthday. Oh, well, cat's out of the bag now. Sorry, honey. So, and I booked it through Gatto's in New Lenox. And I want to tell you, I want to give a big shout out to the people over at Gatto's. It was fantastic. Food was great. I got to see my sister who lives in Texas. She came up here with her two boys who are under 6, so they're kind of a little bit of a handful. And the waitress, server, I should say, she was fantastic. She was there and made us, took care of everything. So if you ever get a chance and you want to go out to a really good restaurant, and I would definitely recommend Gatto's over in New Lenox. They also have locations in, I believe it's Tinley Park and Downers Grove. Also, the great thing about it, one of the reasons why we chose Gatto's, is my wife and daughter have a gluten allergy, and they had to eat gluten-free, and they were able to set them up with some gluten-free options, which was really good. They really enjoyed. And anybody who has any kind of who is gluten-free or has a gluten allergy, they'll be the first ones to tell you how hard it is to find places to eat that you're able to get good food. So that was really great. And also, I'm going to tell you a little bit about us, RJ Graham Plumbing. Usually I kind of let the show go because I don't want this to be an infomercial, I should say. But I wanted to give you a little bit of information about us. Give us a call for all your plumbing needs. Contact us by phone or text at 708-743-7426. We focus on problem resolution and customer satisfaction. Plumbing issues are stressful enough, and our goal is to alleviate the stress so the problem is repaired right the first time with a warranty, so you don't have to worry about it any longer. With our labor warranties matching most manufacturer warranties, you have peace of mind. Actually, you have peace of mind knowing that we're fully covered and service is just a phone call away. I put everything together and I can't even get my own thoughts out. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. We are here to solve problems, and we do not charge to guess. We charge for results. And if you're a fan of the show and you want to see about advertising opportunities, feel free to text us again at 708-964-5500. And what we're going to do right now is we are going to take it back to Zach here, and we are going to talk a little bit about basically what the new products that are the products that are out there. Which is the best? What are the best ones out there? What are the ones that you would go towards? What are the ones kind of steer clear? What are the most problem areas? Things like that. So we're going to take a quick break, and then once we do that, we are going to delve into appliances and everything.
Welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket.
Welcome back to the Prepare to Repair show. I am your host, Steve Suarez. It is Monday, and I am just completely flubbing. Before the break, I misspoke on something, and I want to do that so I maintain all my original dental work. We were celebrating in 25 years, my wife will be 50. So she is not 50. She is, half of that. So it's almost a 50 birthday party. So that's what that was. And I'm trying here, folks. I really am, because I really goofed that up bad. Even Evan here told me, "Hey, man, you're on your own on that one, buddy." So we're gonna shoot it over to Zach here, and I wanted to talk to him about on the previous show. We were discussing how I had Tom here, Tom Maslowski, with what's going on with downtown J-Town, and we were talking about his water heater, and he said that things aren't made to last, and things were just, they're not made like they used to be. And that kind of got me thinking. I wanted to bring it up to Zach on what does he see on the appliance. And I've seen them on the water heaters, and no, they're not lasting as long as they used to. But there's also variables as far as water quality in products like that. But what are you seeing on the appliance end as far as the products being manufactured? Be honest.
It's called designed obsolescence. No, I mean, really, it's a question we get asked. I mean, it's probably the most common question that we get asked.
Yeah.
And really, it comes down to we have energy efficiency standards that were set, not by the manufacturers, and now things are basically designed to fail. Then you add in some of the creature comforts, so things that customers want. The joke we hear all the time is, the TV screen in your refrigerator sends you a text message when you're out of milk.
Yeah.
As you move into that stuff, you end up with a lot of computer controls, and all that manufacturing has been shipped overseas. So, it's a downhill slide for sure.
Well, I know with products, and I mean, just from the plumbing end, I know products such as dishwashers, clothes washers, ice makers, things like that take water. Those are going to be basically similar to your water heater, which are going to be is only as good as the water quality you're going to get. If your water quality is poor, you're going to be going through dishwashers. You're going to be going through, ice makers maybe not, because you do have some filters on them. But sometimes they put them on.
We still see. I would say we still see. There's customers that have ice makers every year to every other year, depending. It's a question that I want to ask you, but I feel like it's the sulfur content in our area. That really degrades the water quality.
Well, you've got a lot, depending on the water, you have a lot of calcium in it. And you'll also have, you do have some sulfur, but you do have a lot of iron in it.
Yeah.
So what will happen is that's where you get the rust in the line, and that will just wreak havoc on it.
We see down in our southern area, so Wilmington, Braidwood, they do definitely have a higher sulfur content.
Okay.
And we see control boards just chewed up on anything that has water going through it, whether it's a fridge, a dishwasher, a washer. If it has a control board on it in that area, it's getting eaten up.
Well, the funny thing is we, talk about, and I mentioned social media as a lot of the questions I've seen over the weekend asked about appliances. And one of the biggest things that people do is they're trying to, at least with water heaters, they're like, I want to get rid of the smell. Do I take the anode rod out? It's always, what do I do to solve the symptom, instead of saying, okay, I need to find a filtration system that is going to bring my water up to par so I don't wipe out my ice maker, my dishwasher, my clothes washer, all those, because, well, you add those up, those are a pretty penny.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean,
there's a we get a question in appliance repair all the time. We'll see hot water lines hooked up to the refrigerator, and there's a reason for that. You get clear ice because the water heater gets rid of a lot of the mineral content that even the filtration system can't get rid of.
Right.
And that ice actually freezes faster than it does with cold water. So it's you definitely have to treat the core issue versus just the symptoms of what's going on.
Yeah, I haven't seen too many people do that. I've heard of it, but I haven't seen too many people do it. Now, does it put a strain on the actual system to do that?
No, it's actually, if anything, it allows those components to go a little bit longer.
So how are you going to get water if you want to get a nice glass of water?
So the only time that'll be a real issue is if you go beyond a gallon of water drawn through the front of the door, because that tank or that reservoir within your refrigerator holds roughly a gallon of water, maybe a little gallon and a half. So unless you're really fast going through water, it'll keep the cool.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that about the hot water. I mean, I've heard of people doing that. Putting. Connecting hot lines to that. I've seen it done on occasion, but it's not regularly. I don't see too many.
No. And I'm talking. We're talking. We have a group of guys that we pull that's 3,000, 4,000 strong across the country.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So you're seeing it out, in different areas.
yeah.
So now I got a question for you. Here's some that came through. I would say, what brands would you say are your top? The ones that you would say that, you're buying? Because I asked you when I was looking for a refrigerator, I was like, okay, which is the ones I would go with? And this was obviously pre-pandemic. So
pre-pandemic was one answer. Post-pandemic is an entirely different response that some customers may not like.
So you're not going to give them any kind of leeway because of the pandemic. You're just going to hold their feet to the fire. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, so really, post-pandemic, what features and functions are you going to use, and what's your price point? Beyond that, it's a gamble.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to like what you have.
Right.
And if you don't like what you have, you're going to be less inclined to repair.
Right.
So we have some customers that absolutely love LG refrigerators. And, there's a known issue with the compressors. And if you can get warranty service out, great. If you can't, it's expensive. We have customers paying us to do the repair now because they like the fridge.
Really?
And they don't want to deal with factory service because factory service is pushing them out a month, 2 months. And so it really depends on if you like the fridge. The biggest things to consider are how old is the unit?
Okay.
When you're choosing to repair. How old is the unit? How much do you like the unit? What is the cost of replacement?
Okay.
Right? So, a lot of the LGs that we're talking about, they're looking at $3,500 to $4,000, like for like, post-pandemic.
Right.
Pre-pandemic was a different story, but post-pandemic, they're looking $3,000 to $4,000.
Right. So
replace.
Right. So there's a significant price difference. So
when I'm coming in and doing we call it the trifecta, the full compressor, evaporator, and condenser on that system, I am less than half the cost.
Okay.
Pretty close to half the cost, but less than half the cost.
Okay.
To replace or to repair versus replace. So if you really like the features and functions and we're under that halfway point and it's under X number of years, customers are going to do the repair.
You lean towards a repair.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and that's been a pivot in our business. We've narrowed down the field. We talked about it the other day. We've narrowed down the field of what we're actually repairing because, like it's hard to get service technicians, right?
Right.
And so to have the time, we've had to narrow down what we do so that we can get to customers in a timely manner.
Exactly. It makes sense. Now, I remember speaking to you, speaking of pre-pandemic, it was literally about 2 years ago, right around this time, when I had, I think it was a Kenmore refrigerator that I bought in 2015 and it died. And I'm like, okay, well, just stop cooling. And I think it was one that had the
LG made. Correct.
LG made. And was that the one that you were saying that they rushed out the new the old compressor with the new coolant?
Here's the fun thing about that. We found out since that even the R600 units are failing. So there's a couple different manufacturing issues going on there. But yeah, originally the theory was that because the United States market was not ready for the new refrigerant, which is butane-based, and basically everything produced in the last year is butane-based refrigeration. R600, R290, that's what you're seeing, okay? It wasn't ready for it. And so they created this linear compressor that was more meant to take that, which was fine overseas, and it was not handling over here because they put the older style R134 in. So since then, there have been a whole bunch of other revisions done. There's software updates that we have to do. They found that there's some limiting factors in the compressor and all this. It's been a whole world of mess in that, but we've pretty well narrowed down what's going on. We have a few friends that are actually factory service, former trainers for LG.
Okay.
So we've had a good chance to kind of really dive deep into what's causing the biggest issues with those units.
Yeah, so I lost a refrigerator that I spent it was nearly $2,500 for that, and it lasted 4 years. I was really upset over that. We're going to take a quick break, and then on the other side of the break, we're going to talk about maintenance costs and back orders, price increases, and much more
news.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to the Prepare to Repair Show. I am your host, Steve Suarez, and I'm back here with Zach Crider with Gordon's Appliance Service. And Zach just off the air told me we were just talking about refrigerators and LG and Kenmore, and I found out that the refrigerator that I bought only had a 1-year warranty from Kenmore. I didn't get the 5-year warranty. I knew I didn't. They said it was out of warranty. They didn't tell me how. Yeah, I only had a 1-year warranty. So that is extremely frustrating. I wanted to ask you something, Zach. I see that you have an ID on your Gordon's uniform here. Now, that is something that is, ladies and gentlemen, you really should look at. You really want people that are coming in your house to have some sort of identification that when they come out to your house, because you don't know who's coming over these days.
Yeah, much like you guys, we also have a job management program that allows us to send a text message with a picture of the technician, as well as technician's name, so you know who's coming into your house. And then when they show up, they do have the ID badge that if you choose to scan it with a QR code, it'll tell you they've been background checked and drug screened and all that stuff. So
fantastic.
Yeah, we're pretty big on that. We want you to know and feel comfortable because we're coming into your home.
Well, safety is the key. Safety and security is the key. Now, with our system, we have it gives the license number of the plumber that's coming out, gives a picture, and it gives a brief bio about who they are, and also when they come in, they've got the shirt on. They're coming in a van that's logoed, and they have everything. And they too are drug tested and background checked to make sure that we're sending out a quality person, and we're not sending somebody out to your house that is somebody that you wouldn't want. So
that kind of goes into the next thing that we had talked about over the weekend. Skilled trade versus a beer money tech, right?
Well, yeah.
We want to make sure that we know what we're doing when we're coming into your house, and that we trust the technicians coming into your house. It's important,
Well, I mean, one thing I've and you probably run into this, and they'll talk about your company. They'll say, those guys at Gordon's, they take care of their guys, they pay them right, they make sure that they have everything. They're looking good. They have the nice trucks and everything. They have all the equipment. They're going to get it done right. Good for them. Next post, you'll see. Anybody have somebody that can fix my so and so on the side? It's like, believe me, if I could fix things or send somebody out for like $50, I would. But there's governing bodies all the way from the state. There's licensing. There's insurance. There's all these different things that go into a service call or go into a job that deeply affect the price of the job beyond what it takes just paying the guy and paying and the companies
training, insurance. Having the phone answered on a consistent basis, the job management program, so we can track your service call. Well, what do you mean you don't remember what I have in my house? And what do you mean that you can't answer the phone call? Like, yeah, if you want me to come out and charge a bare minimum, well, then you're going to lose a lot of the having someone actually answer the phone call, answer these questions. My office girl, Steph, she texted me and goes, Mondays are killing me. We get an onslaught of phone calls over the weekend. So she's busy trying to keep up and call people, and all that stuff costs money. It really does. And all of it, I mean, but it's a whole package of service though, too. I mean, correct. You're not, when you're paying a company such as yours or a company such as mine, you're paying for all these services, and you're paying for the peace of mind knowing that if anything happens, I've got somebody who's accountable, who's responsible, who's liable for everything that's going on. And with somebody that you're getting, that I always say this on the side, or you don't have that, because whatever you're paying is going right to them. And
I don't know what kind of warranty you can expect, or if there's anything implied, or what kind of recourse you have if anything goes south. And if you look on social media, when you see the bad things happen, or you even see the negative reviews or anything, you can usually see where it went south. And I see people that are like, well, they want somebody who's like a side job or something like that, or just a regular Joe they found on Facebook, or whatever the case may be, Craigslist, whatever you're finding, and they go and hire them. And then when it goes south, well, go to the Better Business Bureau, contact the village, give them a negative review on whatever. It's like, what are you going to review?
Right. They're not governed.
What are you going to do? Give Bob or Sam or whatever his name is, you're going to give him a negative review? Chances are the profile was fake. Chances are what are you getting? Or it's the expectation that because you found them on a specific site, that all of a sudden that gives that person credibility. No, that what gives the person credibility is their reputation of being there's some people out there that are individuals that are doing stuff that have their own little business, and their reputation precedes them, but they have everything that they're doing right for the customer. They earned a name for themselves, much like, your company, and what I, do with mine is you earn that reputation of doing it a specific way in customer satisfaction. And not that you're right all the time, not that you don't make mistakes, but when you make a mistake, you own it, and it's taken care of right away.
That's the key point is owning the mistakes. And sometimes when you're in business, it's a matter of learning. There's a lot of blind spots in business. If you don't own a business and you don't have employees working underneath you, you don't know where all the blind spots are. Sometimes it takes outside perspective. This last year, this pandemic has really opened my eyes to that. I have a group of 4 business owners that I'm accountable to. I check in, week out with them. Mm-hmm. They encourage me. They help me grow as a business owner to serve my customers even better. They came in, they assessed my business in April and helped me make some pivots in the business. They helped me identify some blind spots that I didn't know I had, because we were just running and gunning and trying to serve as many customers as we could, because customers needed to be served.
Exactly. So, and you got to make change, you got to make adjustments, and your business is a living, breathing, it's continuously moving, it's continuously evolving. And one thing that how I run mine is, it's a reflection of me. It begins and ends with me, and that's exactly what it is. So, my guys, and I tell them when they're there, I say, when you make a mistake, they're not going to say, "Hey, you made a mistake" by name. It's RJ Graham Plumbing. That's
Correct.
it. And I use the chain analogy. If you have a chain and you have something locked up, or you're towing something, and one of the links break, and are you going to use that chain and go, okay, well, it's only one of the links that are bad, or are you going to toss it and you're not going to trust it? So you need to be good, because you're only as good as your weakest link. You're only as good as your weakest employee, and you need to make sure everybody's strong. Everybody has different strengths, don't get me wrong, but in the field of service, especially what you do, and even in plumbing, okay, it's going to test your strengths, which is great. And you know what? You'll do that with flying colors.
It's going to highlight your weaknesses.
Exactly. If you can't turn your weaknesses into strengths, or you don't acknowledge it, it's going to expose you. And what I've learned is, I have weaknesses on certain things, but what I do is I realize I don't have a Steve to call. So I have to have the resources handy in order to find out and make sure I get to the bottom of it and get the resolution that I need for this customer. Because you know what? We are the last line of defense. They're calling out a plumber to fix this, and that's almost like going to the doctor and the doctor throwing up his hands. Okay, that scares you when the doctor throws up his hands. It's like you're calling a professional and they throw up their hands.
Well, and not chasing every customer either. One of the things that we've discussed within our mastermind group is knowing who your customer is, right? Not every customer is your customer. I may not be best suited to serve a particular subset of customer. And I have to be okay saying, you know what, you're better off calling someone else. Right. Because I can't serve them the best, at least at this point. Right. And so being honest about that and being open about that, we've received some grief because we've chosen to remove some of the appliances that we service, but we did that so we could serve our customers at an extremely high level, and serve them well.
Well, the thing is you have to be a right fit for the customers that are using, and I always say that that's an interview process. When you go out to meet a customer, they're interviewing you to see if they want you to do the job, and rightfully so. They want to know your capability. They want to know your knowledge. They want to make sure that and plus your price point is all going to be in tune to what where they want it.
And we're interviewing right back when our office girl is taking it in, or our parts guy is taking in these phone calls. We're interviewing right back. We want to make sure that we're a right fit, and we've become more in tune with that, especially in the last 6 months to a year, figuring out how to identify what customers we're going to be able to serve best.
And there's some that just basically aren't a right fit, and that happens. And unfortunately, there are some customers that will get upset. And honestly, there's jobs that we really wanted to get that we didn't get, that they didn't choose us, and it's disappointing. And it's like it's one of those things where it goes both ways.
There's jobs we'd like to do, but we know that we're not the right fit for the customer, and so we tell them to call someone else. And that's just being honest and being open, and keeping in mind that you want to serve the customer best. You want what's best for the customer, and that may not be me.
Right, that's true. And speaking on customers, what is your opinion on? A lot of customers like to. Well, I'm going to send you over a picture. I'm going to send you over things. How does that benefit you on your end as far as getting a picture to try and alleviate a service call? Sometimes.
So I use the example, one of the moderators of a group that we're both a part of, she was able to send me her model number and a good description of the problem, and I was able to diagnose based on our conversation. Okay. That doesn't always happen, though. Some of what we do in my industry, for sure, and I'm certain in yours, you have to go out and you have to diagnose, and there's no way around that, whether it's computer controls or it's, there could be a weird routing issue in plumbing, right? Some of it you physically have to be there to see. So it's a mix. But if you give me a model number, you give me a good description of what's going on, it's more likely that I can kind of have an idea and come out prepared. Doesn't mean I can necessarily alleviate not coming out ahead of time.
Right. Well, with us, we find it when we have the homeowner or somebody taking a picture, they're taking a picture from the homeowner perspective. They're not taking in everything that we would see. And the issue with that is, and it's also with homeowner diagnosis too, is because I've run into that as well, they'll call up and say, well, it's just this is what I need to have done. And I'm like, well, we need to come out and, take a look at it to confirm. Well, no, that's what it is. I don't want to have somebody come out. Well, the problem with that is, if we give a price and we do everything based on your diagnosis, that right there is a no-win situation, because
I can't follow another company either, because I don't know how their technician diagnosed it. I have to go in with a fresh set of eyes using the skills and the training that I have to make sure I'm serving you at the highest level.
It's a lose-lose all day for us. I mean, it's a lose-lose as a company, because here's why. And you know this, if I go based on your assessment and it turns out to be wrong and doesn't solve the problem, well, you're the professional. You should have known. Why'd you listen to me? And then if you don't do that, and then, so it's like, if you take their word for it, and if you do it, if you do it your way and you go in there and diagnose it, again, you're responsible for your decision. You're liable for your decision, and you're accountable for your decision. The only way you can do that is if you can 100% be sure and see exactly what you're dealing with. Now, I'm not saying pictures don't always help. They can assist, but in order to get some of the variables that are out there, it's always best, in my opinion, to put eyes on it. But,
And it goes to changing the customer's always right mentality as well, right? The customer isn't always right. And the technicians aren't always right. No. It's being able to take personal responsibility for what's going on, and assessing a situation with the big picture in mind.
Well, how about this? Wouldn't it be more or less not so much the customer always being right or the technician always being right or the plumber being always right? How about it's we need whatever's right for the situation?
Yes.
It doesn't matter who it happens to be. We just need to know what's right. And plus, there's nothing wrong with a second confirmation of an assessment.
Yep, 100%. I follow my guys back to make sure that they've diagnosed to the best of their ability.
Right, and there's sometimes because sometimes you're not able to find, at least on our end. And I've had people. Well, how am I supposed to know? I go, you may not find out what it is right away, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to find out what it isn't.
Right. Yeah, we've had situations where there's a hidden issue that until you correct one,
right,
you can't know what the secondary issue is.
You got to work your way. Sometimes you work your way back. So there's different ways of doing it, but it's experience in the field. Now we're going to run through a couple little things because the time goes by so quick, and got some quick questions for you. Now, I got a question that actually came in from that was sent over a text. Joan from Frankfurt. What is the best in-wall electric oven and microwave, separate units?
What features do you like? What price point is it? There's no right answer to that.
How about brands?
Again, no right answer. It really depends on what features, what functions you want, and what the price point is. They're all going to have problems. There is always going to be issues, but it depends on what you're looking for.
I don't think she wants a TV on her oven.
Right. So, there's a ton of good brands, and you could be at a point where you want a double oven. You could be at a point where you want the microwave. Anytime things are built in, you kind of get stuck because you may need cabinet work or something like that. So you have to be conscious of all those factors when you purchase it.
You've got a political career ahead of you, my friend.
I've just learned this last year has just really opened our eyes to a lot of things. You should see your feet moving on this one. You're doing some dancing. I love it. It's been an interesting year. There's so many factors in it now.
But you are very fleet of foot, let me tell you. So, okay, let me ask you this. Let's see if we got, not to put you, Johnny, on the spot. What would you say is the brands that have the longest life, and what would be the ones that are the throwaways?
There's entire departments within appliance repair or within appliance manufacturers that their entire job is to figure out how old a customer thinks an appliance is old, right? So 5 to 7 years is what the general public considers old for an appliance before they'll purchase new. So they are designing obsolescence into appliances based on knowing that customers will purchase new at the 5 to 7 year mark.
Whereas 30 years ago, 40 years ago, they were lasting 20 years.
Yep. Yeah, there's a whole science to it. There's an entire department.
Science or marketing research that they have on this design for
both, because they have to figure out how to design it to fail. They have to figure out how to design it to fail within that period. You know, it's crazy. Like I said earlier, the days of not seeing an appliance repair tech, they're gone. You're going to see us.
Okay. Well, again, you are just like, I'm telling you, your feet are just dancing on this stuff. But you're right. I guess basically they're pretty much, depending on the features that you have, is going to affect whether or not, the more bells and whistles, the more likely it is to fail. Kind of like, the way the old cars used to be.
And sometimes the more bells and whistles, the more you want to fix because you really enjoy those bells and whistles. Right. And so you want me to put in the fix if I can. And the other thing that we're fighting is manufacturers who are discontinuing parts. They're back ordering parts. Right. Manufacturers who I recommended a while ago, I don't recommend this year. Right. Things are pivoting so fast because manufacturers are changing what they do, and the shipping and all these external factors are pressing in on what we do. So I do sound like a politician when I'm talking about it, but so many things have changed, and there's so many external factors that affect what we're doing now. We just got to kind of ride the tide, and continue to get the training, continue to do the research as far as manuals and service bulletins, networking with other companies so that we can try and stay as far ahead of the game as we can.
Well, I'm going to have you on the show again because there's other stuff that we've got to get to that we didn't get to. But this is one thing that you're working on that I wanted to get to, and I want people to know about because this is something that I think is really cool. This is basically taking service and taking your love for what you do, your passion for what you do, taking it to the next game. Now, you were talking about the Appliance Alliance.
Yeah, so the Appliance Alliance, what that is, my mastermind group, the 4 guys that I'm partnered up with to do business. One of the guys, TK, he's out of Richmond, Virginia. And he came to me with the idea to do a podcast. We were already running a Facebook group for service technicians and business owners. And he came up with the idea of doing a podcast. And so week in, week out, I've been putting content out alongside of him and some other guest co-hosts and stuff like that to elevate the appliance repair industry, to elevate what we as technicians, what we as appliance repair business owners do. We're working to become a resource for all the resources that are out there. I've gotten to interview a couple of the training schools. We've gotten to interview some successful business owners from around the country and the things that they're doing. And we are getting ready to do an interview with ATSI, which is part of the appliance servicers. They are like a governing body almost. They set some standards as well.
Okay.
Within the industry. And so they offer certification, they offer training, they have a big conference every year. And so we're just networking with these groups to elevate the appliance repair industry, to kind of push out the chuck in a truck style business, the beer money style business, and make sure that the people that are coming into your home are trained to a certain level and have all the resources possible to serve you best as the end consumer. So yeah, our podcast is really geared towards the service industry. It's really geared towards the technicians and the owners. It's a lot of dry information. It's not really going to help a homeowner. No. But it is in the long run going to help a homeowner because all these companies from across the country are coming together to make the industry better and kind of help force some of the change with the manufacturers.
But it helps you get better. It helps you overall, your team, to be better. And if as other appliance companies come on to this, what it does is it elevates the game, makes everybody else around them better.
The phrase that I use week in and week out on the podcast is that a rising tide raises all ships. And so our goal is really to be that rising tide and bring others along with us.
Absolutely.
The opposite of that is if you don't go along with the tide, you're getting drowned. So that's really our goal. We want the industry to be better. We're tired of seeing news stories about, this company ripped me off, We're tired of seeing those things. We're tired of seeing those things, and we're trying to elevate the bar in the industry.
On the plumbing end, I hate seeing that because all that's one more hurdle I have to fight and honestly, rightfully so. I got to do and earn trust, confidence, and everything because of something somebody else did, even though I didn't do it. So I hate doing it, but you know what? I'll do it all the time just to show who we are. I have no problem with people knowing who we are and putting my best foot forward to show who we are. So if people want to get a hold of Gordon's Appliance Service,
they can call or text 815-725-2516. They can book an appointment online right from our website or from our Facebook page, Gordon'sApplianceService.com, and also Gordon's Appliance Service on Facebook. So either way, call, text, or book your own appointment.
Fantastic. I appreciate having you on, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
And I want to thank I'm Zach with Gordon's Appliance. I want to thank him for being on the show. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about your home and community. We didn't get to the community, but we did figure out we have another company here that's going to help us out and help the community. And we did talk about some eats, which got myself in trouble. So If you need to reach out to us, 708-964-5500, send us a text, or you can reach out to us at the show, Prepare Show at Gmail, prepare to repair.com, and on our Facebook page. Till next week, see you, everybody.